Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Plants for Table. My name is Lan and today I'm going to talk about my Aerogarden Farm XL in the back of me right here. If you have seen my last video, you know that I am growing quite a few of the peppers and tomatoes in this Aerogarden. In today's videos, I will show you how I trim the roots of my plants so they don't clog the pump. I will also show you how I trim these branches so they don't overgrow or block the light for other plants. It's also important to have some air circulation in your garden. I had a viewer that asked me how I clean the Aerogarden, and today this video is for you. I hope today's video is helpful. Now let's get started, shall we? This is how my farm looked before I gave it a haircut. Too much going on, no visibility. It's technically like a jungle. I started the farms from seedlings 2 months and a half ago, and they are starting to produce fruits now. The green pepper is the jalapeno, and this one is the super hot purple pepper. They are both from Aerogarden. Lots of flowers. I'm super excited about this variety. Oh, and by the way, to help with the pollination, I sometimes just walk by and just shake the plants like so. I also have a fan running about half an hour a day, and that should be enough to pollinate. Okay, let's get back to trimming. I always trim the standalone leaves like this. And also it's important to trim off the sucker branches, like this one right here. Let me zoom in and show you. You see how this branch right here? It's just a small branch that sticks out from the main body of the plant. That's the sucker. We want to trim it off so that the nutrient is concentrated on the fruit producing. Although there's some flowers on this branch, they are not bountiful. So it's best to just cut it off so that the plants concentrate their nutrient on other luscious fruit-bearing branches. Another one right here. I should have done this a couple weeks ago when it first starting to have the suckers on the plant, but I just didn't have time. So I recommend you guys to do it early on so that it does not produce flowers on these branches. This branch is getting too tall comparing to the rest of his neighbors. Definitely need a trim. I want all my plants to have similar height so that the light hit them evenly. I'm just removing unhealthy looking leaves. I really regret having so many plants in this farm. Ideally, I think it's best to have about 3 fruit-bearing plants on each side of the farm, so that's 6. You see this pepper right here? I planted the same time as the other purple pepper, and look at the size of this. I think it's just because of this jalapeno overshadowing it and then cover and compete for the light, so it's not doing so well. Let me just trim this tomato branch so that it's not getting in the way. Like I said, I should only plant 6 plants total in this farm, and I'm having about 10. I will have to really trim them back and take out some of the plants and put them in my other systems. This is the drawback of an Aerogarden. There are 24 pots total in this farm, and I just feel like I can't utilize even half of it. It's kind of disappointing. This is what I don't like about Aerogarden. For my other system like the iHarvest and the Garden, I can plant way more. Anyway, on the positive note, there are a lot of tomatoes. This is a closer look of a sucker. How to identify it? It's usually between a V shape of the plant. You see those 2 leaves that stick out from the branch? And it's a V shape right here. Those are the sucker. You just have to pinch them off. Now let's work on the roots. I trimmed these a month ago and now they tangle up again. I can't even lift this cover up because the roots get stuck to the wire of the pump, and I have to cut these apart. You can just trim these roots without pulling the plant out. Here I just want to show you the whole thing. It's really a struggle to pull these things out, especially when the plants got aphids or other bugs and I just want to pull them off and rinse in the sink. This is what I go through every time. Okay, got it. You see how long it is? I'm going to trim 1/3 of the roots. I don't know about you, but I find trimming the roots quite satisfying. I think because I'm not really good at trimming my own hair, or I'm not daring enough to trim my own hair. So this kind of fills the void inside of me, you know? And this should be good enough. I'll do the same for the rest. No matter how much I try, I cannot pull this pepper plant out, so I will just lift the whole thing out instead of damaging the roots. You need to unplug the pump before cleaning. The pump filter is clogged up by the roots. I will have to clean this well before putting it back. I'm gonna take this container to the sink and wash it there. Please remember not to wet the end of the wire. If you do wet it, just make sure that you dry it up and air dry it a while before you plug it in. I really wish there's a way I could detach this pump from the container so that it's easier to clean, but I don't want to unscrew it from the reservoir. So the only way is just to take the whole thing to the sink and carefully wash it. This is how I place my plants while washing the reservoir in the sink. I just quickly scrub it with dish soap and then rinse, nothing fancy really. If you have multiple systems going on, I recommend you getting a dolly. I got this one off of Amazon for about $40 and it's a great help transporting the water. I store the tap water in this container. I believe it's a 17-gallon container, and I leave it overnight so that the chlorine evaporate before I use it in my garden. I also find this sump pump very helpful to pump the water into the garden or vice versa. I use it a lot for iHarvest, Garden, and the Aerogarden that I put on the top of the racks. That way I don't have to lift up the water to pour it in or scoop the water in. That can break your back after 4 or 5 Aerogardens. I'm switching to Maxi Blooms to help with the fruit production. I just rinse this top cover with water and wipe it dry. Now let's put the plants back in. For the other reservoir, I will just lift this cover up and trim it from there and then place it back. And by the way, my flooring is tile, so do not do this if your flooring is hardwood floor or carpet, because so much water dripping. Anyway, just lift the cover up and trim away. And remember, 1/3 is good enough. Very, very healthy roots. that's it. Very easy, right? I repositioned some of the plants and then remove one tomato and one pepper plant out of the farm. I moved them to the iHarvest and the garden because they have spots over there. That's it for today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next episode.